The Christie suspension is well known to almost all military enthusiasts. Its appearance changed the original slow mobility of tanks, and when combined with sturdy tracks and a powerful engine, tanks could finally run happily. Christie himself also became famous for this design. However, Christie did not only have this one design. He had a very forward-looking understanding of armored weapons. Today, let's briefly introduce several masterpieces of Christie. First of all, it should be noted that Christie did leave the United States because his suspension design did not receive practical use. However, his design did attract the attention of the U.S. military. On the contrary, the U.S. military carefully examined most of his research results. It's just that these researches were not technologically mature, and even the Christie suspension was not perfected until after leaving the United States. Christie himself was fond of the wheeled and tracked dual-purpose structure, so most of his designs were related to dual-purpose chassis. The most well-known ones are various types of self-propelled artillery. In 1918, a Christie self-propelled artillery prototype was sent to the U.S. Ordnance Department for testing. It belonged to Christie's early weapon design. From the preserved photos, we can see that his walking device design was still quite primitive, similar to the track plates and rhomboid tanks. This structure was not wear-resistant. However, the tracks had a pair of raised supporting wheels, and from its spring structure, it could be seen that it could provide a certain degree of elasticity when driving off-road to maintain the tightness of the track. Its engine was a 120 horsepower 6-cylinder engine designed by Christie himself, with a maximum speed of 26 km per hour. The main gun it carried was a BL 8-inch gun. During testing, this self-propelled artillery had many problems, such as difficulties in driving without tracks and inconvenient steering. Despite this, its basic structure still had a certain impact on the development of U.S. ordnance and was one of the earliest self-propelled artillery pieces in the U.S. Although anti-aircraft guns began to rise during World War I, many were modified from field guns, and some were installed on truck beds as self-propelled anti-aircraft guns. However, Christie designed and patented a 3-inch anti-aircraft gun carriage around 1918. The carriage had a simple 4-wheel chassis with a 60-horsepower engine providing power, using a 3-in-1 reverse gearbox, with basic mobility and a maximum speed of about 24 km per hour. It should also have the ability to tow march, making it an early self-propelled anti-aircraft gun. In 1919, the new generation of Christie self-propelled artillery began testing at the Aberdeen Proving Ground, and it was said to be a weapon derived from the improvement of an 8-inch self-propelled gun, both of which may have used some common technologies. The carriage retained Christie's early wheeled and tracked dual-purpose design, eliminating the pair of raised supporting wheels, with the drive wheel at the rear, and when using a wheeled walking method, the two pairs of middle load wheels would be raised. Its driving speed was relatively fast, with a maximum forward speed of 24 km per hour, a reverse speed of up to 19 km per hour, and the ability to climb a 45-degree slope. The main weapon was a 155 mm howitzer. The testing of this carriage was very successful, and it even underwent long-distance march tests from New Jersey to Washington, D.C., with reliability meeting the military's requirements. In 1922, the military originally planned to mass-produce it, but due to budget cuts, this optional project was ruthlessly cut. This is a type of self-propelled artillery with less information. Two were tested in 1920, armed with a 75 mm field gun, modified from the French M1897. The entire vehicle weighed about 7.2 tons, with a 90 horsepower engine designed by Christie, using a 4-speed gearbox, and a maximum speed of 32 km per hour. Designer Christie himself was engaged in various research throughout his life, and of course, he achieved more than just the above few designs. It's just that the Christie suspension was too dazzling, so many people didn't know that this master actually designed many other things.